Here are 5 changes MapleStory needs to become the best MMO. Now, I didn't want to bring up the usual requests from Nexon, like more resources for heroic server, cheaper vac pets, universal cash shop, and all those things are important, but I want to focus on the core game mechanics and activities that could be added in the game that will just make it feel more whole. So if you're in the same boat as me, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and let's just get right into it. Number 5, world bosses. Now let's be honest, having to wait every Wednesday to test our growth and strength with those weekly bosses and having to wait for a chance for new loot altogether sucks. Now imagine this, weekly boss tier enemies that show up at random times in the day. For like the old school Maplers, think about like the maple cake boss that spawned in town like randomly, that dropped the maple items and like just rare stuff. Why not add something like that and that could keep people engaged after the weeklies all throughout the week and the day? Now I have another idea. Now this one is taken from a game called Warframe. So if you never played Warframe, it's an instant based game that has that type of gameplay but also an open world. And in the open world there is a ginormous creature named an Eidolon. This Godzilla shows up during nighttime in the open world and people party up in different channels to go about taking it down, or maybe you have your couple friends that want to go take it down because it drops a whole bunch of good mods which are like scroll/equipments, right? So you want to think like having like, I don't know, a arcane that also scrolls itself, or the boss drops a weapon as well as the scrolls, right? Auto Star Force scrolls. Some good stuff, man, but we all know Nexon's not going to give us any of that. These map bosses will spawn in, let's say, Maple World in a couple of different areas. It can spawn in certain areas or towns in Grandis, Arcane River. You know, have timed bosses that show up maybe 2-3 times a day, and there's going to be like an alert system that would show up on top of the screen to let everybody know. Right, guilds, friends would party up and go try to defeat the enemy. You know, there's something similar done in Phantasy Stars 2, New Genesis, or just Phantasy Stars 2. I did kind of take the idea from that, which essentially there would be like a red label that shows up, and then everyone would go click that area, and that area would kind of spawn in with like 32 people, and then they all defeat this ginormous boss, right? So they could even take that idea and incorporate it with that world boss idea that I was mentioning. But as I said before, man, we're gonna have to push this through, guys. If you do enjoy these ideas, so Nexon maybe will take some of them into account and give us something close to this, right? This out of the 5 changes is my favorite because it literally makes the game live at all times. You're always gonna have something to do. You're not just gonna go AFK so someone can glaze your CP and Hennessy, right? Number 4, revamped on dailies, or endgame daily. So what do I mean when I say endgame dailies? I mean dailies and weekly tasks we would do that would generally be for characters 260 and up, essentially 6 job. The current weeklies and daily systems is like a chore simulator. Once you max out your arcane symbols, there's not really much more to do, not that you even wanted to do them in the first place. This stacks on to number 5 as per, you know, the overall issue I feel with Maple having this lack of content, you know, which to be fair, most MMOs nowadays have a lack of content, but you know, games like OSRS does an amazing job keeping people logging on every day to meaningful content. But I'll digress. Why not add some form of quest, you know, something that we could even have a story with, you know, and I'll watch your damn unvoiced stories that I always skip if you do this. But anyways, we would swap between monster kills and like mini bosses, and at the end you would like, you know, make some sort of box to offer us that would give us some decent resources, fragments, familiars, node stones, the usuals, right? All of it. But also have a chance to drop maybe like a skill ring at a high, or I mean a low drop rate, ink EXP pods. I don't know, like let it feel like it was worth doing it beyond just doing the quest. Now, I don't have too many suggestions in this part, but other than the actual content idea itself, so I'll ask you guys to engage in the comments and type what midweek content could they add to the game to make it feel more live at all times, or just more than just on Wednesday. Let's get it out to Inkwell, you know, but let's just move on to number 3. Number 3, weekly boss fixing. Or maybe just create more weekly bosses for every tier, but also with harder mechanics. But now I'll explain what I mean by that. The adding more bosses is obvious, right? More bosses, more fun, but I would also say allow us to sell more of the purple crystals, but that's a whole other topic. But the type of bosses they should add would be for all tiers of players. For example, King Slime, but add a few more difficulties since it only has 2 of them, right? Not only that, make these bosses similar as per the mechanics as the higher tier bosses like Kali, First Adversary, Kalos, etc. Now, if you can defeat these bosses, you are awesome. But for newcomers like myself to reboot, I am still in the C-10 bosses, and as we all know, skill play is a big part into defeating bosses in stories. But we also have to face the hard reality that Star Force is also the main part of defeating higher bosses. And if you're not at a higher Star Force, then you're just not going to be able to defeat certain enemies. Now, I won't get into the whole Star Forcing thing and why it's a staggering system, you know, for an MMO that is about constant progression. But since that's the case, C10E tier players won't get the proper practice in order to play those bosses. And when or if they obtain the power to do so, they would need to then try and learn those bosses. Number 2, tweak the rates. Now, I believe they should keep the increased rates for the Arcane and Absolute boxes that they made during the mistake, right? But they should also maybe increase the pitch drop rates by 0.5, or maybe have like certain weeks where there's a ×2 pitch drop week. So when the weeklies come out, you have a ×2 chance to get it, right? I think that would be flipping awesome. Have it added as an event, you know, something Wednesdays or Thursdays in Japan. Just give us a little boost, right? This would really help heroic servers that have a harder time getting dupes for especially pitch items, but it will benefit all servers overall. And finally, number 1, add PQs/raids. Now, I saved this one for last because I know everyone is with me on this. Bring back the PQs, man. Like, whether you want to bring back the classic ones, you know, for nostalgia just before Classic World releases, or maybe create newer ones for higher tier players so we can level up. Just do something, bro. Like, I have a perfect example. I really want raids. Why not create raids, right? Something similar to WoW, like World of Warcraft or something like that, where we will have like 32 people or maybe 12 or whatever the low amount, you know, Nexon wants to make it. And we all go and do a whole bunch of puzzles and bosses, and then towards the end there's this big boss, and then everyone gets all this good loot, and it's instance based. Please, everyone gets their own chance at getting the loot. Maybe one item or a couple items can be just spread out between everybody at a chance, but just really make it feel worth it. It's going to be like 2 hours long, right? You only get a certain amount of deaths. Just watch a World of Warcraft or like a escape raid. Example I can give would be like Seawalk PQ or the Guild PQ from back in the days for any OGs that remember. So if they were to mix the two together, I believe it would be probably something close to what I'm saying, but just make it more difficult and make it you know, longer lasting. Those are my 5 changes in MapleStory that I think will make the game amazing, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below on any of my suggestions, whether you like them or not, or you have your own suggestions. Put them in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. I hope you enjoy your Mapling and your rest of your weekend. Take it easy.